A college education is often the best way for Americans to build a better life for themselves and their families. But with soaring tuition costs, many students find that they have no choice but to take on enormous debt to get a degree. As a result, about 43 million Americans nationwide have student loan debt, including over 2.4 million New Yorkers. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This morning, I'd like to start by sharing a shocking statistic. New Yorkers are buried under nearly $100 billion of student loan debt. That number, let's let that number sink in, $100 billion. That comes out to an average of about $40,000 per New York borrower. And the truth is that debt is crushing hardworking New Yorkers across our state. As I say every week, working families are already struggling to make ends meet as prices rise on everything from groceries to gas in President Trump's economy. Adding thousands of dollars of student loan debt onto the stress of increasing everyday expenses is a recipe for disaster for working families. A college education is often the best way for Americans to build a better life for themselves and their families. But with soaring tuition costs, many students find that they have no choice but to take on enormous debt to get a degree. As a result, about 43 million Americans nationwide have student loan debt, including over 2.4 million New Yorkers. Many of those borrowers rely on student loan relief programs like the Income-Driven Repayment, or IDR, plans, and the Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or the PSLF, plans to reduce their debt load and make these expenses more manageable. These vital programs offer a lifeline that helps borrowers stay afloat. Unfortunately, the Trump administration's mismanagement has caused massive backlogs of applications for both of those plans, leaving more than 500,000 borrowers in a devastating limbo. Those applicants are being forced to wait months or even years for a decision, watching interest pile up on their loans in the meantime. To add insult to injury, the Trump administration is making the problem a whole lot worse by terminating the Biden-era Saving on a Valuable Education, or SAVE plan. The SAVE plan was the most affordable student loan repayment plan in history, and it provided much-needed relief to millions of borrowers. By terminating this program, the Trump administration is forcing over 7 million Americans to submit applications for new repayment plans. As you can imagine, that massive influx of applications will only make the IDR and PSLF backlogs grow forcing more and more New Yorkers into financial uncertainty. Now, more than ever, New Yorkers can't afford that wait. One constituent from New York City shared her story with me recently. She submitted 2 IDR applications last year. The first was closed without a resolution, and the second has now been, quote, in review for almost 11 months. This inaction forced the constituent into forbearance, with interest accruing on her loans until the application's approved, increasing her debt and leaving her completely helpless. This is wrong. These are Americans who went to school in hopes of opening doors for themselves and their families. Americans who attend years of medical school and accrue massive debt to do so in pursuit of the skills they need to save lives. Americans who become teachers so they can educate the next generation about the concept of the American dream, only to be let down by that very dream. New York borrowers deserve better than Trump administration's chaos and negligence. I'm demanding that the Trump administration immediately address the backlog of student loan forgiveness and repayment applications. Eligible borrowers must receive the decisions that they are entitled to in a timely manner, and we must do everything we can to support those who have been forced to delinquency or default on their loans while they wait. I'll keep pushing the Trump administration until this matter is resolved and all borrowers are supported. Thank you.